No,
They did. They did
when they
not
did
go
one
on
year.
1 year.
But this is a contract renewal, so
So they're not going up. But next year they go up. Why? Like they did that one time.
let's ask them. Yeah, let's ask them. It's 6 o'clock. What's up, Bill? Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone. It's 6 o'clock. It is time for the City Council to begin. At this time, we will stand and have a pledge, a prayer and a pledge. Yes, please.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you this afternoon. We thank you for this day. Thank you for the opportunity to gather here this afternoon. Lord, we thank you for all of your blessings in our lives, Lord. And Lord, just being able to serve you in this way is a blessing. We just ask you to tonight just give us wisdom concerning all things. Bless all of our citizens who are here tonight and all of our city employees, Lord God, on a daily basis. Just keep them safe, Lord. And as we discuss all the business at hand tonight, give us wisdom beyond our learning or knowledge or experience. And we thank you and give you all the praise. In Christ Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Once again, good evening. It's kind of hard to say good evening. It's so light outside today. We're glad that you've chose to join us in this City Council meeting today. Right now, we've already picked up those that would like to have a say. We have one that would like to have words. And at this time, Ms. Virginia Lewis.
This is probably the last time I'll come before y'all unless there's something different that comes up, which I'm sure it will be at some point in time. But I'm here for two reasons. Number one, I'm tired of people in this community, in this city, asking me to explain or justify why no charges was brought against the Director of Economic Development. I can't tell you how many people stopped and asked me why weren't charges brought against him. And the question is, why? I think we all know why. But from the City Council, the Police Department, the City Administrator, the District Attorney, there was a concerted effort to protect and cover up the corruption. Thanks to the citizens, economic development has been closed. And a lot of them think it's been closed, that's the end of it, and it probably is. And that may need to be the end of it. I don't know. But you know what? I was told, and this burns me up, folks, that it was a political and racial thing. No, it was theft. Let's be honest about it. It was theft. I've spent over 30 years working with youth that were incarcerated at Texas Youth Commission. That was for far, far less crimes than what happened here. Y'all know that's the truth. I drove hundreds of miles to deliver a message to a mother that their child committed suicide while being incarcerated. Not an easy thing to do. Had to pay a tremendous price for the crimes they committed. This two-tier system, that's why the youth, they don't have no trust in law enforcement. They don't believe that right's right, right's going to be done. They just know that it's political and racist. They'll get away with it. That don't need to happen, folks. We need to be honest about what happened. It was theft. Bottom line, it was theft. Now, has he paid a lot? Yes. He's lost his job. He's been embarrassed. We've all been through all of this over and over and over and over again. Different people have been told different stories by different people. Some of them just to get you out of their office. And knowing when they tell you that, they didn't tell you the truth. They just want to get you out of the office. And there's been a lot of money invested in this, a lot of money, a lot of time. We don't need this for our city. And I'm going to say to you, if you're sitting here, and there's some of y'all,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, that was the only comment that we had turned in at the time. And I think I forgot to recognize the visitors. I might have, can't quite recall. But thank you so much for choosing to come here today as we address the business of the city. So with that being said, that brings us to, for comments and from my council, and I'll mention, I think as you came into the doorway, you saw the flyer, and it says, please join us for a retirement reception for honoring the career of William Bill Pemington. And, oh, here we go. To join us to honor Bill's career of 52 years, including 37 as Crockett City Attorney. And the event will be Thursday, May the 15th, 2025, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. The program would start at noon, and it will be held at the Crockett Civic Center Conference Room. Refreshments will be provided. We're hoping that all of you that know Bill and have had dealings with him, and he's been a staple in our community for so long, and we do appreciate the great things that he's done with the city of Crockett. So we hope that all of you would pass the word, share it with a few friends, and we're looking forward to seeing you there. And also we have, we've had our community roundtable. We have another roundtable for Precinct 5. And basically that's conversation with your city on a precinct level. And that was suggested that we start doing a citywide, but we broke it down into precincts. And therefore, you get to talk directly to the person that's going to be working with your precinct, your council person. And this time, it will be the council, Precinct 5, and that is?
That'd be me.
And that's Mr. Marsh. And it will be held at the Harvest Church on the 29th of April at 5:30. We hope that, if you know someone in the area that didn't hear the announcement, just remind them. And we're hoping to have a great turnout. And I will say that the last ones that we've had, the information has been really powerful and I guess community specific. And I think that everybody had an opportunity to voice their concerns and to hear what was actually going on. So I think it's so important that if you really want to know directly, the best people to hear it from are on a level that are directly specific to your community. So thank you so much, and we're looking forward to you being there. Did anybody else on the council? Well, did you like to?
Y'all just come out. Let's talk.
All right. With that being said, that brings us back to item number 1, approval of the minutes from the regular session, March 24th, 2025.
I make a motion we approve the minutes.
A second.
Okay, it's been moved and second. All in favor? Motion carries. That brings us to our business. Item number 2, discussion of solid waste contract renewal terms.
Mayor and Council, we spoke on this about a month and a half ago and decided to move forward with renewal of contract with Piney Woods and Live Oak for our solid waste. That being said, before we renewed it, there was some of the council members and even Piney Woods, we wanted to touch on a few of the items within our contract to be sure that we're all on the same page moving forward with another 5-year contract. And we do have representatives from Piney Woods, but Mr. Sonny Hubbard and J.D. Hatton. I don't know if, and if you want to, we can go over that. I have the entire contract. We do have some markups on it that we initially saw, but we want to go slow enough that way any items that we did miss can be pointed out. One of the items, as mentioned by Mr. Marsh right before the meeting started, that we need to touch on is contract renewal for this year. Will we be based off of last year's pricing plus CPI, or how's that going to
It'll
work?
be the same pricing that we've had. for
So
the
we'll
last
start,
year.
we'll start with this last year's pricing.
Yeah, just like
in
it
this
is
year.
right now. The one that you and I talked about 4 or 5 months ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that pricing will stay moving forward with the
So-
first year of the contract.
Okay, so then the second year, we're not gonna go up twice on us, right?
No,
Like
we're
we
not
did
gonna
that
go
one year.
twice. No, no.
We did 1 year.
I know we did. We're not going to this time. I can't
Okay.
tell you, I can't tell you why. I didn't do it. I can't tell you what happened, but no, it'll be on the anniversary date of the contract.
All right, I'm
But that will go
I'm gonna
by-
bring you in and we're
I'll
gonna
be
talk
here.
about this.
I'll be here. If I'm not here, JD's here. He-
Okay.
JD, for everybody that has never met him, he is the actual SAC.
What is it, go up 3%?
3% or
So-
CPI
so-
if it's less.
So next year, if we go up 6,
We're not
We
going
got a
to
problem.
6. No, we're
No,
not
we
going
won't
to. No.
we did.
I know we did, but we're not going to anymore.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, the rate increase for this contract says CPI from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics are 3%, which is the less. So if
That's
this-
what our last contract said too, right?
Well, it's
And that's what
exactly
it,
said.
and that's what we did. That's what we did that last year too, when you're talking about 6%.
Yeah.
So, what a lot of the contracts that we went through, only ourselves and one other city was, we actually have a lesser of.
Yeah.
Most of them are built in that whatever the CPI
Whatever the
is, whatever the
CPI is.
inflation is.
And-
So they did agree to keep the CPI or lesser of 3%.
3%.
Okay.
Make sure that it doesn't go up on
So
that.
if it goes haywire and it's 10%, 3% is what the contract calls for.
As long as it's not 6, because we skipped a year.
I understand. It won't be.
Okay, now we touched on that one.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so we have defined terms. One of the items that is sometimes, just for clarification, the two items that sometimes get confused are bundled items and bulky items. Bulky items are large special type items from a a washer machine or a mattress or a dresser, versus bundle items or items that do not fit inside the polycart, and or it's more than what, if you have a polycart service of one polycart, and say you have Thanksgiving and you've had more than what can fit in that, so you bundle those items and up to either 3 bags or even yard waste. It's just your limbs have to be cut smaller than 4 feet, roughly so long. So those are the bundle items. The bulky items are those large items, the one things that, like I said, the mattress and the dresser and those one-off type items. So we'll talk about both of those later in the contract. So this is front and back, page 1 and 2, page 3. Let's see, page 4. One item that has come up in discussion that we wanted clarification on is on page 4 under single-family residential and small commercial units. In simplest of terms, the single-family residential are all of our neighborhoods, just neighborhood streets. The small commercial units are our downtown units, the mixed units that have some residential and some commercial, but they're small. They're offices, law offices, and they share commercial polycarts. Those are picked up. That way we don't have trash sitting in the bin for an entire week. Those are picked up twice a week. Right? Yes. And so One of the concerns is further back in our contract, later on in our contract, it says their business hours and their hours of service of their pickup hours will not start sooner than 6 a.m. Here, under Section 4, it says it will not start sooner than 7 a.m.
Y'all changed it to 6?
So that's one of the things that Piney Woods is requesting, that it not be 4 a.m. or 5 a.m., but 6 a.m. to be able to start their route in residential units and or the downtown commercial unit.
So,
They have to get down soon enough to be able to pick up before parking, all the parallel parking and the people start moving into the downtown area where you have big trucks parking in there.
Well, that's
on
on
residential,
that's on the,
the small downtown,
the
small
downtown.
commercial units.
Yeah,
So both of those would be,
but the residential, I don't think 6 o'clock. I think it needs to stay 7.
You know, the only thing with residential, I would say that when school traffic start, I live there on the road, it creates, it's really bump out between the, we have a lot of people that work with TDC, and it's a lot of traffic at 6. It's really hard to maneuver because they don't be slowing, they don't they're trying to get to work. So 6 is not, I'm a 5:30 walker, okay? But 6 is, it start getting crowded if it's like 7 or something, because you run into the buses, you run into the school traffic. It really is hard to maneuver around, and
Well, here's
Some of
what
the
we were
residential.
considering whenever we
I
mentioned
like the
this.
6.
We can stay off the streets the school buses run up, but there's a lot of other streets that we could get to, and we run into a landfill problem. Although we dump here, we still have to take it to the landfill. And the landfill closes at 3:45, depending on which one you use. And we're just trying to beat it to the landfill. That's the main thing. JD, I think, could figure out the routes so that they would stay off of the main streets where the school buses stay. And, we could pick up 8 or 10 or 15 blocks that were off the beaten path, change the routes up so they could get, that's all we're asking for.
there for several months and trying to beat the closures at the landfill. They started pushing it up. They were running routes at 5 o'clock in the morning,
Right.
and we realized that was an issue, and so they obviously are pushing it further out. But they were asking not to start quite at 7, to be able to start a little bit sooner. What do y'all? Is 6 okay, or do y'all want to keep it at 7?
I think the residential, I think on the main roads, you can start at 6, but like residential, like down in residential, like say Enchanted Estates, I don't think you should be able to come in Enchanted until after 7, but,
I'm good with 6.
I think 6.
like your main roads, 6, fine, yeah, but like,
Under non-collection, under notices and follow-ups, so that's kind of the portion of the contract that if they do something that is not within the contract, we have the ability to fine them or provide notice. On that sheet, we have commencement of residential collection prior to 6 a.m. as one of the criteria that they would be given notice, and if they, so what do y'all?
because like, just for instance, Enchanted, and I'm saying that because I live there. If they get to start coming in at 6, then you gotta put your traffic out, or your trash out the night before. Then you got dogs. Who's gonna pick what they tear up? When people get up and let their dogs out, because it's happened several times over there.
Sonny, JD, what do y'all think? Is 6 okay? Is 7? Or is 7 okay? Or is 6? We have basically a third of the entire city is picked up within one day, so they have to make the entire city, all city streets within a third of the city. So it does 7 and collection and getting it to the landfills. Does all that work within a 7 a.m. start time?
7 a.m. start time, you run into, some things happen sometime, but We could play it by ear, see how we could try it and work it out. I mean, now, let me say this here also. Now, this is speaking on the residential side. Commercial, we would.
Yeah,
need-
commercial, we don't have
Yeah,
that.
it's not a problem with the commercial, right? So.
No, sir.
Okay.
That can be picked up during the night.
Residential, we can try it, but the 6 o'clock, I mean, that truck, when he leaves out and goes to picking up, usually he tries to stay off of Goliad, Houston, and Bowie, the main streets that's coming in. If he can get out and get a jump early in the morning, usually by noon, he can kind of just
Do the last
Yeah.
pickups.
yeah.
Or just
And then in the summertime, I mean, summertime, you gotta understand too, summertime it starts getting hot. 10 o'clock in the morning, it's 900 degrees sometimes.
And we're working with rear loader garbage trucks with people on the back too.
Yeah. And those 3 streets.
What about
I
during the
just
summer or
named,
something, during the summer, have an earlier start date or something?
Won't you just go to a chain that got the 7?
Yeah.
I mean, the Channing, I can keep them out of there, that ain't a problem. I just need,
I don't, I mean, I'm just saying, it's not a problem with just Enchanted. I mean, it's, the older people live other places too. I mean, it's,
Come on, 6 o'clock, man, go on, get the trash and get out of here.
I mean, that's what we running right now, 6 o'clock. We running 6 o'clock right now, the ones here in the city.
Just go everywhere but a chain, and I guess, you know, I'm good
like I
with it.
said, it's not just Enchanted. I mean, it's,
That's one of the items that did not make sense in our contract. It said on one side 7 and the other side it said 6. And so, the downtown, they were wanting to see if they could push it even sooner to get in and out
well, there's
before.
nobody living downtown.
Well, our goal is at some point there will be more, and right now we have probably 5 or 6 dwelling downtown. So it's not a big nighttime, noises and stuff is not gonna be disturbing too many people. So as long as you're okay with that, what do y'all want to do on the downtown? Is 5 okay? 6?
Yeah,
Stay-
do
stay-
whatever they
We're just
want
talking about
downtown.
right around the square.
Right on the square.
Just
Yep.
the square.
Do whatever you want.
And then on the main,
So do 5, can we move that one to 5 at least?
On the square.
the business.
And then residential?
6.
6?
And you said you were gonna just kind of
Y'all
work
can come
around
get my
that
trash at
in-house
6.
residential part of it.
I'll be ready for y'all to come get my trash.
What we can do, if this does cause problems, we'll come back and readdress it and
Yeah.
see if we need to change it.
That ain't gonna be a problem, I mean, whatever we got to do.
Yeah. Whatever we need to do, if we're running into any
To
problem.
accommodate it.
Putting the garbage.
So
out.
like, yeah, so kind of like you said, the main street, you can start right at 6 and work your way partially into the deep
Houston,
residential.
Goliad and Bowie,
Yeah.
I mean, you get stuck on that.
Yeah,
If
that's
you
why I
get
said,
stuck
I
on
know-
that street, it's a line all the way to the.
Oh, I know what 6 o'clock look like on there, I mean, between early on that, because like I said, I walk right down through those main streets. So I can see why you would want to get those out, because they do clutter really fast. And so I think like what was suggested is that those baseline, the 5 o'clock for the central area, no real residential, and then the 6 o'clock to start out with the main street and work yourself into the residential. And if it's a problem, we'll come back and
Yeah, we'll
rediscuss it.
readdress it.
Okay. We won't fall out behind.
And there, Piney Woods has been pretty responsive and custom responsive. Like if there's certain people that can't roll their carts out, they go up to the garages and porches and roll them out.
I've heard
So-
that. Yeah, that's good.
So I think that if there is a certain area or somebody that requests that it'll be a later, then we could probably work and be.
Got a list of all of them and try to keep up with them.
Is there any more, let us know.
Yeah, we're able to.
So the next one on the C, under that same page of the last paragraph on page 4, something that we have in our contract that is very, very valuable in our contract is the provider will pick up to 2 bulky items on their regular residential pickup. So those items, but it does say that they don't want you operating some type of a, where it's every time. So if it's a standard problem, then they'll need to work with you on getting, if you're running a business that requires lots of mattresses to be dumped, or couch, every week there's a new couch, and you're kind of using that. But if you do buy new furniture, you do have something that you need hauled off, they will provide a free pickup service with your regular residential. All you have to do is call the day before and let them know, because they run out there with a trailer and a pickup. They don't do it with their regular rear loader. So any bulky items that you have, they pick that up for free from the curb. So that's something really valuable that you don't see a lot in these contracts.
Now, there's one exception to that we need to discuss so that y'all will understand. Anything with refrigerant in it and the Freon, we would rather not mess with them, because the TCEQ rules on the certificates that have to go with whatever it is, air conditioner, freezer, refrigerator, nobody will take it without those things. And you get somebody knocking the line off of an icebox and Freon goes out, nobody's gonna put a sticker on there because they didn't remove it. And nobody's gonna take it because there's not a sticker on it. So that's a real problem as far as us trying to remove them, because we just rather not, because the regulations on the things were such that nobody would take the things.
We have 2 a year drop-off events, large item drop-offs also. So if you've torn down an old shed, or you have some garbage that's accrued and you put it in the back of your pickup or a trailer, when you do take an air conditioner or a refrigerator, take it by an AC, and if they can vacuum it down and tag it, then you can drop that item off. But the crews that they take it to requires that stamp or that tag. The next item that, sir?
I don't know what you're saying.
Can we have more notice on those days, please?
Pardon?
Can we publish out a month ahead of time on that?
We do.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I have not seen that.
We
Sorry.
radio, newspaper, social media, a good month and a half. Yeah. On page 5, down at the very bottom, one of the requests, and truthfully it works out better for us. Our contract with Piney Woods, one of the big things that we utilize within the city are when we go in and clean up these abandoned lots or these dilapidated homes that are falling down, and they're either on the tax foreclosure sale, or we go through code enforcement means to clean those properties up. They have been providing up to 32 a year for the city's use for these property cleanups, 32 30-yard roll-offs. We've been having some issues with coordinating our cleanup efforts and y'all's availability to have roll-offs. And so when we don't want a roll-off out there sitting for 2 or 3 weeks waiting for our crews to show up, because sometimes emergencies come up on our crews and we didn't show up when we were expecting to, and it's just always a hassle coordinating those efforts. What they're willing to do is, using their transfer station, we have a roll-off truck and roll-offs, and we have dump trucks, is that we keep a tab, so to speak, out at the transfer station, and they're going to provide an equivalent, and actually it's just a little bit more than the equivalent of 32 roll-offs, of those 30-yard roll-offs. They're providing 1,000 yards. So whether we bring it out or we're doing a cleanup project and we have something in a dump truck, we can roll it over there and dump it at no charge for city cleanup services. Cleaning out ditches or creeks or tearing down an abandoned house.
That's good.
Yeah, we'll keep a running total of it, and whenever your 8-yard trucks come in, put 8 yards, or 12-yard truck, 12, and we'll allow you 1,000 yards. I don't think you'll hit it, because I think last year they only used 20 or 22 containers. They didn't use the full 32. So I think this will be a win-win for everybody. Y'all can get it as you need it, and then we don't have to mess with 32 containers, because that is a logistics problem to itself. I mean, it's not a problem. is a logistic situation.
To coordinate those, yeah.
Yeah.
To coordinate everybody.
Well, that's
So
good.
y'all can do it as you get to it, and just bring it to us,
Sounds like a plan.
and give you 1,000 yards.
Okay. On page 6, term of agreement.
2025.
So it'd be 2025 through 2030. Anything on those 2 pages? All the fees, the franchises, the taxes, all that remains the same. Page 8, that's the section 16 that we were talking about. Where on missed, let's see, on number 3, commencement of residential collection prior to 6 a.m. That's what we were currently
Discussion.
already had in there, that we said that they couldn't run before 6 a.m., but then another area we had 7 a.m. And then over here on hours of service, on section 17 on page 9, it says 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. will be their hours of service also.
And that's gonna be when we finish. So if we out there past 6 o'clock.
And that does, in the clause above that, that's where it talks about where if there's,
Yeah,
extended pickups and,
yeah, just leave them out, we're gonna pick them up that day.
those are the only items that we made adjustments to up until, so on the page 12, we do need to put a new address for notice deliveries. That was the old Piney Woods address. A couple other items on page 14 is,
What is this on 13, is residential units?
that's
You
the,
got marked out 1192.
that's the current, that's what the current pricing, that's when we started,
Okay.
that's what our current pricing is. When we started 5 years ago, it was $1.49 less.
Okay.
And so within 5 years, they've gone up by $1.49. Over here, there was a little bit of a pickup of debris with a crew includes limbs, leaves, etc., $25 per yard. That was a pretty generic, kind of a ambiguous number. It didn't say whether it'd be 1 tree, 20 trees, or a small bush. It's $25 a yard. In 5 years, no one used that portion of the fee schedule. And we don't think, and Piney Woods definitely expressed some concerns over it, that they could, on the first page that, what is it? On the first page, section 1, bulky items, there it says that any items larger than 48 inches or over 50 pounds can be hauled off at a negotiated rate. That would probably be the time that would, they holler, Piney Woods comes out there and looks at it and says, yes, we can haul we can haul all these limbs off for X dollars
Let
then.
me clarify this a little bit more. What I've seen in the many years is we used to, back whenever everything was $1.50 an hour, and you could dump in the landfill for $2 a load, people would put out enough material to fill up this room, and we would have the crew go out and pick it up, take them all day to do it. And this is what this reminds me of, is they put out a pile of stuff, and we send a crew over to handle it. We don't do that. We don't have the equipment, we don't have the people, and you don't need 10 or 15 or 20 yards of waste sitting on the curbside waiting for somebody to pick it up. And this is what this relates to, with that $25 a yard. We go out there and measure, and we say, it's gonna cost you $750 for us to pick it up. Well, anyway, we don't have the people, don't have the equipment to do that. And so, we just need, if they're gonna do something like that, just set up a roll-off container out. If they're gonna clean up their, whatever,
And we have a site out in the county also that people can drop off, limb drop off for free.
So, but that's why I said, let's just get rid of that, because it acts like somebody can go clean up, you know, grandma's
They don't
attic
pick
from
up
40
stuff.
years ago and just pile it along the curb and expect us to come get it. We just don't have the people to do it.
So you're saying the pickup of debris with a crew,
Mark it off if you would.
mark the whole line off or not to be negotiated?
No, just mark the whole line off. If they have something like that, we can.
They can get a
call us,
roll
we
off.
can talk to
We
them.
can call and come look at it, and then we can say, we can get whatever we can get out of it. And the
Put
rest
a
of
roll
it.
off in there or do something.
And they'd be responsible for their own pickup.
That's correct.
And that's probably more feasible.
We don't run into that.
Yeah, because that's a lot of stuff to be piled on.
The last item on page 15 was we had a tire disposal twice per year, up to 4 tires per stop. So you could put up to 4 tires out by your curb, and it would cost you $7.50, or it was $5 per tire for 20-inch and below, and $15 for over 20-inch. And so that's kind of, we don't have a lot of other options that if someone is out of compliance and they have tires and our code enforcement is we send them a notice, a warning saying you need to get the tires, out of your yard. This did give us an option. Most of the time they didn't use it. They would either the cheapest option is take it down to a tire store and pay that surrender fee. It's usually $2 to $3, maybe a little bit more.
I think it's more now, but
It might be more now, but a couple years ago we got a grant for
pick up.
tire drop off, and we had a grant that paid for. We hauled off 8,000 tires that year. We had 4 18-wheeler box cargo trailers that we loaded up and hauled off using that grant funds, and I think that helped dwindle down our tire population. But moving forward, they're not really in the tire drop off, pickup, and dumping service. They did request that they remove it out of the contract, the tire drop off. I do like that it's in there because, like I said, when we're under an enforcement case, we can tell people, worst case, you do have this option. Most of the time, they're not going to use it because it's cheaper to take it to a tire store.
well, the reality is when you buy a tire at a tire shop, there is a disposal cost on the.
It's on
if you
there.
look on the
Yep.
sheet. Why anybody carries a tire that's wore out back to the house anyway is beyond me. But
They're
we
attached
really
to
are
it.
not in the tire business because the landfills won't take tires that are whole. And, for the $750 we're asking for, we can't really get rid of them that much. I mean, that's about what it costs at a tire disposal place. And so we're still looking at the transportation to get them there.
So what do y'all think, y'all?
And even with that, I mean, when they did bring them out there and we told them it was a charge to get rid of them. they let them.
And that's the other thing is, what we found out that people do not plan on returning to their house with those tires. If they've loaded them up in their vehicle and then they find that there's a fee and they decide not to pay it, they're going to disappear somewhere in a ditch
They
or
end
a
up-
creek, and
Yeah.
then we're picking them up anyway.
They end up at my dumpster.
And
They
then,
end up- yeah,
and then
and
we're picking
anybody
them.
comes
Then we're
through.
picking them up anyway. So I don't know. It's kind of a
But just
catch-22.
to keep it back in mind, you said those trailers were about $2,000 a trailer. Back, when that was about 3 or 4 years ago, when they set up to bring them out.
Yeah.
Trailers, they were a couple $1,000s a piece. So, nothing's cheap when it comes to tires.
No, nobody don't know what to do with them. That's why we need to get that company in there.
Yeah.
We got another company.
So what do y'all want to do on that one?
We taking off 2 of them? We gonna take off 2 of them? with
Are you gonna leave the price on there and do it, or you said you
What do
wanted
you
it
mean, what we
off
gonna do with that?
completely?
Well,
Y'all want to leave 750?
just
Or
leave it on there if you want to, but we would like to have it.
they requested it to be
completely
taken off.
But maybe, I don't know, maybe something later on in the year, we can come together and do something if we collect any. You haven't collected any tires down there in a long time, so there may not be a real problem.
That trailer, pretty much since that trailer was out there.
So,
That price, tire, I don't care, you do $10.
I mean, it's just a worst case scenario when people have it and they need to get rid of it. It's an option, and they will pick it. So instead of them having to load it up and they don't have a pickup or whatever and make $10 a tire?
Let's do 10. That'd be we can take a pickup load and maybe get $300 or $400 worth of revenue and justify going to
And
the tire.
that way you can leave it on there, but do it, because like you said, the landfill won't take it. So you're gonna have to, you're gonna have to get enough tires to
Be
build
worth-
up to even go make anything on it.
Correct.
The closest place is Cleveland or Midlothian or somewhere up there,
Make
and
it
then
worth
Cleveland.
your while.
Okay?
Let's just put 10 on there, just leave it.
Okay.
And maybe that will keep people from coming.
Maybe they just go throw them under the house like that.
Any other items that y'all want to see
As
addressed?
long as we have our years straight, right, Mike? No carryover from next year.
No rollover minutes.
Okay. Well, we do, like I said, I do like the service. I think it's really good and how well and I know people put other stuff on the side and they still pick it up. We wouldn't recommend, that's not what's recommended, but I notice if it's anything left, they just pick it up for them.
Just keep this in the minds, although we've got Live Oak here, both of us were Piney Woods guys, and both of us have a lot of experience in this business, so we're gonna continue, just personally, just to take care of your business. So, just stay with us and we'll do whatever we need to do.
Yeah, we appreciate you.
Just a couple items in the last 5 years since they've been there, that when we initially started negotiating, I was actually going back through the last few days, going through all of our contracts from our last proposals that we received. And they were the only ones that agreed to moving an office here out of Crockett and hiring people locally. All the rest of them, Ameritex, which they've purchased already, and all the other competitors, so I'm not going to name them, they were all going to service us from other cities. So they would just send a truck over the road, one guy, one truck, and be gone. And they agreed to 13, but y'all have how many people now?
15, 16, something like that.
Right on 16 employees.
80, 90% of them work from here, so.
And they service other contracts from the
With our
Crockett site.
people.
So our people are going to other cities and servicing them. And so we're excited about that.
Pretty much all of them, I think, got 4 or 5 years in now, so.
It's great. We appreciate it.
Well, get that, make your changes in that, and I'll be over here, I can't come tomorrow, but I'll be back over here, let's say Thursday.
Okay.
And, we'll sit down and go over it again, and make sure everything's according to Hoyt, and, we'll go like we knew what we were doing.
Thank y'all.
Okay, appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Good to
Thank
see
you.
everybody.
Appreciate
Thank you.
Thanks, call if you need anything.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, do we need to vote on it? Or is this discussion?
Just a discussion.
Okay.
Unless somebody wants to make any,
Would
they can, but
would y'all
I'm
like
not
to
requesting any.
make a motion to accept the contract with the corrections? Okay.
Well, I make a motion that we accept the contract with the corrections.
And I'll bring that back for y'all for final approval.
Okay.
I'll second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor? Motion carries. So we'll be through with that. Okay. And that brings us to item number 3, discussion, update on the street construction projects and the approval of budget amendment if necessary. Well, I will say we've seen some scary things under our street.
Yes, ma'am, and it's really, and it's something that we've expected, we knew was going to happen, but until you start digging up streets and dirt and moving things, then you realize other things that were underneath that you weren't expecting, or you were expecting, but you didn't know the quantities, you didn't know the shapes until you get to it. And so it's been very busy in our street and construction and public works departments over the last few months, with many months ahead to go. So I wanted just to touch base just a little bit with where we're at with our current projects and the projects that we already have slated and budgeted to to give y'all an idea of how our spring and summer's looking, both time-wise and budget-wise. MLK is the first street of this SIB construction that we did. MLK has a couple sections that our contractors, while they're here, they're going back under warranty, and they're going to pull a couple sections where they have some uneven tie-ins. The tie-ins were uneven, and they're not right. One area is holding just a little bit of water, so that they're cutting that back out and repaving that to where it's done right. West Houston is complete. East Bell Avenue is now complete. The water's draining really well, both on Bell and on South Fifth Street. The curb and gutters that we put in, the stormwater drains that we put in, everything's flowing well. We're really excited about that. We have a couple button-up items on it, but it's considered complete. South 7th Street, that one was another one that we ran into a lot of issues as we're moving forward with it. We had one issue with our water line. There was a pipe that was a valve that was installed, and the old pipe was all turned off, and the valve should have been just buried, but they put a sleeve back on it by mistake. And we're not sure if it was one of our guys or the contractors, but anyway, when that sleeve was there and the rollers were putting the new pavement on, it pushed that sleeve down on top of that old valve, and it broke our old cast iron line again, which was all going to be abandoned once we put in the water lines on Goliad. It's just kind of a chicken and the egg, trying to get it all to not lose water in any one area, but using old pipes and new pipes. And so that was one intersection, and we lost, so we had to pull up some asphalt, as you can see. But overall, South 7th is fixed, is complete, other than one stormwater drain inlet across the Methodist Church that's going to be dug out after it, because we wanted it flush and level with a pavement, so we're going to do that afterwards, after the asphalt's cured and everything. South 10th Street, South Gray Street, and North Gray Street are SIB projects that we're currently working on. I was going to pull this up and show y'all. South 10th Street, from Kemp, right across from the old school, from Kemp, I don't know if this might be better on the, is the high point. Kemp is the highest elevation, and from there it goes to Bowie, and in the other direction it drains back to Goliad. From Kemp all the way down to Clark, you have some slope. After Clark, it is virtually flat, completely flat from Clark to Goliad. Very little elevation change. So that water just sits and pools and does not drain. The curb and gutter, if you see it, all the curb and gutter has very little. Some places has zero rebar or reinforcement in it, and it's just up and down. A lot of it was from those old garbage trucks that we were using, and then water sitting in the edge, and it's not draining properly, so those trucks was just pushing that ground up and down and just beating it, and it just turned to mush. We really need to replace the curb and gutter from Kemp all the way to Goliad. We can gain elevation. If we use the high side of Kemp, we can pick the areas up around Clark by about 8 inches and gain, because it's like this now, currently. So we want to pick that area up using Kemp as the high point, Goliad as the low point, and shoot a curb and gutter straight all the way to Goliad. Before we go in and remix that road, stabilize it, and put asphalt in it, we really need to lift that road up and have it draining properly. Otherwise, we're spending a lot of money, and we're not going to look good after it's done.
Repeat itself.
That being said, Gray Street is also the same issue. We initially told our engineers to spec these jobs out without using, curb and gutter is not part of the project. These two areas of Grace and 10th Street, we really feel like we need to add curb and gutter. We can do this at a lot better rate. These are already curb and gutters that are engineered from years past. We're replacing it. We're not doing new construction. We're replacing old curb and gutter. So I don't have to add all the engineering costs in it. We have a contract already with a contractor that does concrete. It's already been bid out per linear foot. And we're getting this done with the concrete, rebar, and labor and materials, forming it and everything for $26 a linear foot for curb and gutter. When we bid this project out on South 5th Street, our cheapest bid was $85 per linear foot. So doing it in-house with our contractors, we're getting a lot better deal.
And what was there didn't have rebar in it.
No, sir. And it's just done in sections, not even rebar tying the two blocks together. It's beyond me.
How they got it?
Nobody can come up with a good reason why not, other than contractors or developers taking advantage of the city in years past and getting by with what they were allowed to get by with. That being said, we're not going to go back. We're going to go back with good curb and gutter like it's supposed to. Grace Street, right across from the Grace Street Church of Christ, kind of the Ann Street area, is once again the high point of Grace. From there, it goes all the way to East Houston, and then from there it goes from the church, it goes back to Goliad as well. You have really good elevation, about 3 foot of elevation, 3 or 4 foot of elevation. So from here, from the church back to Goliad, we need to replace that curb and gutter and take advantage of all that elevation and get that curb and gutter running and all the broken pieces pulled out. So that being said, that's on your first page, the South 10th, Grace, and North Grace. 10th Street has all the water lines replaced. Tomorrow, we're inserting, it's called an inserter valve. We're paying for that out of our own operations budget. In lieu of that, the way this contract was bid out was for them to do it under live pressure, which means we got to shut all of our pumps and empty our elevated storage tanks. If not, under live pressure, we would end up emptying our tanks with as much water as we would lose, and we'd go under boil water notice citywide and probably shut most of our city down without water for about a 24-hour period. We found someone that can do an inserter valve for $12,000. So we're going to be inserting a valve, then be able to shut it off and work without that pressure on
So
us.
that was cheaper than those ones you were gonna have to get section by section, right?
Yes, ma'am. So for $12,000, they're coming in on Wednesday to install that inserter valve there at Goliad. If you drive down Goliad, in the corner of Goliad and 10th, all that's cut out and prepped and ready for our contractor to come in and do the inserter valve. So that's what will be happening on Wednesday. That'll get 10th Street back online. It'll have all new water lines, and all the old lines underneath 10th Street will be abandoned.
No.
They'll be gone. No water pressure under there. Then South Gray Street, it has all the water lines replaced. They're going to be going back after they do the North Grace they're at East Houston. They're boring under the road and tying that in. They will get those customers swapped over to the new lines. Okay. So Grace Street is the next, or is the remaining water project that we have left under the SIB. North Grace also, we're buying how many culverts? Probably 20. Do you remember how many culverts for North Grace?
Probably more long lines, about 30.
30. We're replacing all the culverts along Grace and doing all the ditch work probably starting in the next week or 2 or 3, probably.
Well, they started some of it today, replacing
Okay.
some driveways, but yes.
So over the next 2 or 3 weeks, construction will be going for Gray Street. We're digging some big ditches to get all that water flowing like it should be. We got to get that water off the road. And so we'll be replacing those culverts over the next few weeks.
That's good.
All right. Mr. Gerald, do you mind talking a little bit about this on page 2? If you flip your page over. kind of give us an update. These are the streets that council has already approved us to move forward that we are currently budgeted for as well. We wanted to talk about some of that, as well as let y'all know about the curb and gutter for the 10th Street and the Gray Street project, to give you an idea how much that's going to end up costing us per linear foot. This is a little of an overshot. We believe that we're going to come under that a little bit on the curb and gutter, but we wanted a worst case scenario on that.
Okay, when it reversed, when we discussed what we're doing in-house, we're still progressing. We have done easy in Wilson. We came in and prepped it. We came in and added cement to our base. As a matter of fact, when we tackled that job, we didn't get off the road till 9 o'clock that night. We started early. We had a few complications, but we worked through it and got it put in. Now we're waiting on that base to go through its process of curing, and probably next week we'll come in and we'll start to seal it and get it sealed up. We also have some projects that we have this lingering. We have Village Way that we're going to go back, and we've already put the seal on it. We got to do the entrances, and then we're going to come back and blade the coal laden material and tie it into the curbs the way it needs to be done. But before we do that, we're going to go in and backfill all that curb work that was done, tie it into the yards to make sure that we are draining water from individuals' house to the curb where it can drain out the structure. Then we'll come back and add those surfaces. West side is another street that we're going to come in and blade the coal laden material. We got it sealed, got everything done with it. Unfortunately, it was at the end of the year last year. We were going into wintertime, and I didn't think that it was feasible to try to tackle that going into the winter, because all it would take is get halfway through it, come a good rain for 2 or 3 days, and then the work we've done is gone. It'd be not salvageable. So with the summertime coming in, we're tying these jobs in and moving forward. I know on South Wesker, we've already passed out notes to all the people that live on the street, asking them to purchase a cover so that when we come in to do the ditch work, we can lay those new covers, put everything to grade, get it draining properly, and then we'll start tackling the surface part of that street. So we've notified those individuals, trying to give them enough time to gather money. We don't want to come out and say we're going to be there in 2 weeks and give you a 2 weeks notice to have to purchase a $200, $300, $400 cover. We want to give people ample enough time to be able to buy those covers. And
So what is
those
the
covers
average
on hand.
price on those? Give or take.
Give or take, around $300. 4 would be a little excessive. Well, let me back up. 4 would not be excessive, depending on what type of cover you decide you want to purchase.
So you have a choice that you,
Yes, we give everybody a choice. They have the black plastic pipe that a lot of people are going to. It's a cheaper pipe. It's a little bit more labor intense for us to put in, but we're fine with that. If that individual can just get the covered purchase. Then you have the corrugated metal pipe. It's somewhere in between, and then you have the concrete pipe. That's the top of the line,
what is that?
and it's going to be way more expensive.
Where you
So-
get them from?
Sir,
Where you get them from?
you can get it from Crockett Sand and Gravel. You can get it from Stowe Lumber. You can get it from Parker's, or you can go to Wilson Covers in Elkhart, and they'll have the plastic, the corrugated pipe, and sometimes they have the concrete pipe also. So you can buy from any of those locations and get them purchased.
We've been helping people purchase, if they go and purchase them at Stowe's, and sometimes Stowe's will deliver them, but Stowe's, Parker's, Ready Mix, we'll pick them up for them too.
Yeah, we'll pick them up. Anything to try to help the landowner buy in to putting a new cover down as we do these new streets and new structures where everything will tie in well. Because when you look at it, if you're cleaning ditches and you don't remove that cover and shoot grade on it, I guarantee you're going to have a puddle of water on one side or the other side. Mm-hmm. And from that
Defeat the
point,
purpose.
then we have issues with mosquitoes because it's holding water. So we'd rather start at one end of the road, find your grade, shoot your grade, clean the ditches, put those covers in the grade. That way the water will flow like it need to, and then we'll tackle the structure of the street and get it done. When it comes to Anson Jones, from 5th Street to Brazos is already done. We got one shot on it. We need another shot to where it'll be finished. From Anson Jones, from 5th back to South 4th, we still have to do that work as far as rehabbing the street. Sunset, we still have to rehab Sunset also. But now that we're coming into the summer, we're getting longer days. I'm quite confident that we can get it done, but we would like to, the streets that we have left on our list, we'd like to bite those off before we take on any more additional streets. And also with that, we have to be mindful that the streets that we have already done in the past, we need to be, we keep a close eye on those. Some of those might need sealing again. We have streets that's been done for about 7 or 8 years now. We need to revisit those streets, put another seal coat on it to ensure that we keep the waters out of those streets and keep them in good shape. So that's what we have in front of us. We're looking at Precinct 3, North 2nd and North 3rd has been complete. But like I say, we like Burtis and West Side from buttoning those up. Last year, we done Burtis. We came in and put coal-laid material in. It's been a year later. Now we need to seal that street to ensure that that coal-laid material stays good and fresh for the longevity of the street. On Precinct 4, Curtis and Thomas Street has been done, but of course we're working on Anson, Sunset, and Southwester to get those complete. When we look at Precinct 5, Village Way we've done the curb and gutter work. The base has been done. We had the first shot of seal coat. We just like coming in and backfilling those curbs and then blading the coal-laid material to tie it in. And then within the next year or so, we'll come back and chip seal over that material, the coal-laid material, to ensure that we get the bang for our buck for longevity on that material.
On Briar Lane, I know that there's some, we're working with our contractors on the concrete curb and gutter. We've done most of all the curb and gutter from the last half of Briar Lane. The portions that remain are the driveway entrances for Briar. We actually had to pull our 3 of them, so we pulled our contractor off of that, and he's working on 10th Street trying to get ahead of those contractors since we're kind of under a deadline on that. But we are going back to Briar Lane as soon as we can work them, and get out of the way of these contractors on 10th Street. We want to go back and finish up Briar and do that, rehab it, and get Briar Lane done. Same way with Homewood. Homewood, the water line, we pulled that and we installed the hydrant, but Homewood is the one that needs to be fully rehabbed. We have to mix it. Yeah, we have to mix it up, stabilize it with cement, and do an overlay on that one as well.
Unfortunately, all of our streets that we have not done has no structure, no base.
There's no base.
There's no base. There was no cement stabilization in it. It's just plain old ground that's been mixed in, water, and sealed over. So that's the reason why we have such a hard time controlling our potholes when we get the rains, because there's no stabilization in those old streets.
And like at the top of like MLK, where the schools at, why so them holes right there?
That was at the end of the job. This summer when school turns out, then we'll come back in and we'll tie that from the loop to that job. We'll tie all that in.
All the rest of the road good, but that little point right there.
Yeah, that was the limits of the job.
Okay.
That's the reason why the little section was not.
They just left that side off.
Yeah.
That's what's up, man.
Yes, sir. We'll be back and finishing that one.
That's a lot of construction. That's more than we've had in years and years.
We've done quite a bit, and it's a full-time job when we have contractors in that's working, and we try to keep an eye on what they're doing to make sure that we get the best job that we're going to get with that also. So, but we're moving in the right direction. It's just going to take a little bit more time. Of course, it's going to take money, but we're working diligently to.
Just looking and seeing some of the contractors that we've hired to do some of the other jobs. I mean, they're rolling in with 20 seasoned people that do that do this for a living, and we're working with 4 or 5 guys. 4 that we're training. We're and so we're doing it in house with our funds, trying to stretch the dollar as much as we can. And otherwise, we wouldn't. Using the dollar amounts that we're stretching this out with, we would be able to get half of any one of these streets if we contracted it out.
I know.
And then our money's gone for the entire year. So this is our only way of just trying to stretch it and get as much as we can done.
And we appreciate that the guys are so versatile, that they're because I know some of them, they were looking like shocked when everything started being pulled out.
Well, as a matter of fact, our street crew is four guys, and 3 of the 4 have been working for the city of Crockett less than 8 months.
I know they were.
So I got one lead man that's been with the city of Crockett for 5 or 6 years, but he's been on the street crew for 2 years. So we're getting a lot of work done, and they're doing good work because I'm there when we're doing it, and we're doing it right. It just takes time to get it done.
Yeah.
This last year, we've lost several guys. They go to private construction and oil field and make 2 or 3, 4 times of what we're paying here. We lost 2 of them that had CDLs that started elsewhere. So it's just that's the struggle of trying to retain good people and pay them what we can. So.
And plus, you have to retrain every time.
Every time.
Step by step, it is harder in small areas where you can't compete with the Bucks. But they have the heart for it. I see how hard they're working, so we're grateful for that.
Can we, like on these streets, can we get like the people at the addresses, like an idea of how much they gonna have to pay and where they can find them covers it? Cause some people don't know.
We put it in the letter.
I seen the letter, but
yeah,
some people they didn't know what to get, how much it was gonna cost. It wasn't gonna cost on that.
We put it in the letter, didn't we? I thought we had.
I don't think we put a cost in it, but I can go back and revisit, and we'll put another letter together.
We usually do have a letter that has, these are the sizes, and here's a few contacts of people. I don't know if that letter hasn't been sent out yet, then we will. But yes, sir, we will.
We'll get whatever information we need to get back out.
Yeah, because I didn't see it.
Yeah. Yes, sir, we will.
Well, it's enough to ponder over.
So we need to make a motion to approve the amendments?
No, sir, we already did that. On this one here, so like what I was telling Mr. Coulter, that if we can go through and finish up the streets that we've already committed to and we have the budgeted funds for, and I can return to council, if we have time left in this year's budget and we have more streets that we can take on, then we'll come back to y'all and ask for more funds
to complete them.
Right now, we feel like with the current funds that we have left in our budget, we can finish these projects out and address the necessary curb and gutter work to maintain the SIV contract and be sure that those streets are done correctly as well.
John, I know I come in late, but I want to ask a question. And I think I asked before at another meeting, I asked about, I think, Cedar Street. So was Cedar included in the SIV?
No, ma'am, it was bid out. It was bid out, but we only requested $6 million. And so the $6 million, the streets that did not get funded in that contract, we did get all the engineering done. And so we can use those same engineered plans and go out for a new contract if we come up with more funds. But the $6 million required us cutting Monroe, San Jacinto, and Cedar out of the those were engineered and bid, but we knew we had $6 million, but not knowing what those bids were going to come back at, we wanted to have more streets than money. Instead of having money left over, we wanted to use every bit of that $6 million. So we bid out 11 of the streets and came back with 8. We had to remove 3 to fit the $6 million budget. So it's Cedar, San Jacinto, and what was the other street that I just said?
Monroe.
Monroe. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, is there any other question? I know we had the discussion.
I'll
Okay.
make a motion with adjourn.
Is that what heard? There we go, that was fast. Okay, we're gonna have 2 words. All right, y'all have a nice evening.
Gotta ride with it.
I know they shot the other night.
If you went to sleep, you missed it.
It's pretty